What's up, guys? J.R. Raymond here, back again at the training center in TurboTech in Chesterfield, Michigan. Just got back from the Masters, so we're going to talk a little bit about the lane patterns out there, the difference between the lane patterns that Kegel uses and the USBC uses, and the patterns that the PBA uses, and why we see a lot of the same faces out on tour making a lot of the shows versus where USBC tournament we just saw a bunch of new faces. So. And a lot of the reason for that is because of the different varieties of patterns and the characteristics that those patterns give us. The PBA patterns tend to give off a lot of the same characteristics week after week. So you see a lot of early hook to start, and then they get tight down lane. And that's a lot because of the oil in the front moving to the back part of the lane very fast. And something about the patterns and the oil conditions or the conditioner that they use, the machines that they use, those Brunswick machines that don't oil in reverse, they, for some reason, even though there's plenty of volume in the front, when you look at the pattern on paper, and then when you look at the lane, you can see there's a ton of volume down there. But something about it makes them hook early. And I don't want to say, I can't say that it's technically the machines or anything like that. I think it's the characteristics that are being put into the machines. I'm not saying they're doing a bad job with it by any means. I don't want to say that. I just think it's causing people to look for specific shapes, and it's causing you to look only for that one specific shape. You're not seeing a big variety for the most part, and that's okay. It seems to be successful. You're seeing a lot of superstars make the show. That's good. But then then USBC had Kegel put the pattern out, and you started seeing different people. And it's not because all of a sudden, EJ stinks, or because all of a sudden Belmo, which actually he was hurt, so that makes sense as to why he didn't bowl very good. But a lot of the guys that were pretty typical, when you look down that list, you're like, wow, I can't believe this guy, this guy, this guy, this guy, and this guy missed the top 64. How did that happen? They've been bowling good all week. Well, because the characteristics of the pattern are quite a bit different. You start to become a product of your environment. You start to see a lot of the same shapes, so you start to create the same type of ball motion week after week after week, and then you see a different shape, and it's hard to go from the shape that you see all year long to a completely different one and then adapt to it. You get used to opening your angles up and creating big open angles to having to shut them down. Even the best in the world struggle with making those changes. As you saw, a lot of big names missed the cut this week at the Masters. Don't get me wrong, I mean, they were brutally hard. They were almost next to impossible, so that's going to cause some problems. But this is one of the reasons why you see so many guys make the same show or making shows week after week after week. It's why you see different eras of people making shows. So you look back 10 years ago, you saw guys like Sean Rash making every single show. Well, now all of a sudden he's struggling to make shows, but why is that? It's not because he's gotten worse at bowling. I mean, he's still one of the best bowlers in the world. Something he's doing isn't matching up the same with these new patterns that they're using. So it's causing people to adapt, and it's going to happen again. I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if, EJ has a year where he struggles to make a show. It may not happen because maybe he is really that good to make an adjustment to his game to, adapt to whatever the new condition would be. But I'll use an example of the World Series a couple of years back. They used it in Reno. There was a ton of volume in the middle in the front part of the lane, which caused us to shut our angles down and play straighter quite a bit, and close the angles down when we move left. And you saw Belmonte struggle that week. He didn't make a single cut. He snuck into the World Championship cut for Cashier's round, but he didn't make a single match play that year. He struggled the whole week, and maybe he was just sick or something. But I actually, if you would have paid attention, I got on the live stream for Extra Frame, and I called it out right away. I said, Belmo's going to struggle this week because if he had a flaw at that time, he may not have the flaw now, but if he had a flaw at that time, it was trying to get his ball to slow down in the middle of the lane. Because he was just so big, strong, and powerful. He threw it so hard that getting his ball to slow down, it was either his ball went 60 feet, or when he used the big, strong bowling balls, it hooked early and then it bailed on him the rest of the way. So he had a little bit of a struggle with that, and it showed that week. That first day, I said he would struggle that week because of the patterns, and he did, and he struggled quite a bit. And then he must have made some changes because he pretty much hasn't missed a show since, But there's certain times when you kind of you can tell when certain people are going to struggle because it creates different things that make that bowler to do something that they're not accustomed to doing. But guys like Belmo are so good at adjusting and fixing things that if you shut him out for one event, if you change something for one event, he's going to remember and he's going to be able to fix it for the next event. So it's not going to matter. But what I would like to see a little bit more variety. I mean, I feel like we're bowling on a lot of the same patterns, and just to clear the record here, I'm not bashing anybody or saying anybody's wrong by any means. I'm just stating an opinion that, or a wish, I guess I would say. It would be my wish to just see some variety as far as maybe taper goes, volume in the front, maybe just change some things a little bit. And here's why. Here's why I think it's not necessarily a machine problem. It may be just a conditioner problem. But when Sean Rash he ran in his event in Aurora a couple years in a row with multiple patterns using the Brunswick machines. They created these patterns and adjusted these patterns. And that lane surface, people always say, well, it's the lane surface that's causing, the early hook. The lanes are dished or whatever you want to call it. That's causing the early hook. And I don't believe that is entirely the case, because in Aurora, that surface is the earliest hooking surface and the oldest surface out of any place that we bowl. And that place, they were able to create those patterns and they didn't hook early at all. And you saw different people, you saw shot makers. Like, look at Chris Prather. I mean, Chris Prather is phenomenal. Like, he is probably the best physical bowler on the planet right now as far as accuracy and physical game goes. He knows exactly what's going on. He's probably the best all-around bowler right now, next to Belmo, of course. But he did really, really well on those patterns. He ended up making match play or making the finals with me. And you saw nothing but shot makers. Walter Ray made that cut. Simonelli made that cut. It was me and Prather in the finals there. And then you saw, other tournaments and the next thing you know, go back out to the normal stops and all of a sudden there's early hook and tight down lane again. So I don't know. I guess I'm asking myself questions because I'm not sure how that happens, but that's one major reason why you see people struggle in one organization and not another. There's a reason why you see guys, they can't bowl well out on the tour patterns, but then they go and they crush everything else that's around, or vice versa. They bowl really well on the tour patterns and then they can't make a cut anywhere else at any of the, amateur tournaments and stuff like that. So, I mean, it's just, there's too many variables that go into why people bowl good and why people bowl bad. The biggest variable is, either you're good or you're not, for the most part. Either you can make the adjustments or you can't. And the best bowlers in the world have been able to so far. Belmo, EJ, those guys, they found a trick to make their ball roll happen and to make their ball strike every single week out on tour. They figured it out, and the rest of us are just chasing it. Like me and Ronnie Russell, we were working for a little while in between tournaments. I try to help him with his tilt, get a little bit lower. He ended up making a show at the World Series, which looked really good. And then he went to the Masters and bowled bad. And I don't know what happened there. I haven't talked to him about it, but he looked really good there at the World Series for, a couple of blocks. And, and I'm working on getting my tilt up to be able to get my ball further down lane so I can create the ball reaction down lane that they have. So, it kind of goes, you either adapt or you die. And right now, because those conditions you're seeing the characteristics of it, that's what you have to create. You have to learn how to create it. And if you can't, you're going to have a bad time trying to match up and get your ball to do the right thing. No matter what company bowling ball you're using, if you can't create the matchup, then you're going to die. You're going to fail. And, the guys who figure it out, they're the best in the world. They've figured out a trick to make it happen. But the Masters was a prime example of, once you change them a little bit, you start to see different people on the show. So you can change patterns to make specific styles good. You can change patterns to make specific styles bad. And that's the unfortunate thing where, it's kind of the same way in golf. You can make a whole course where it's dog leg left and make it for those people who struggle making their ball, hook that way. They're going to struggle throughout that course, and vice versa. But it's the unfortunate part of this game is there's just a lot of variables that we've got to deal with, and somehow you have to figure it out. I'm on the verge, and I'm constantly trying to figure it out, whether it be with layouts, surfaces, bowling balls, whatever it's got to be. I'm still researching and trying to figure out why. And I'm getting closer. I think I'm doing better and better. But I've never had, over the last couple of years, I've never had that block or that event where I felt like I've had a 250 ball reaction and I could keep it and just put up these huge numbers and have a chance to win. It's just been a grind. It's been constant grind and hope I get 9 and make spares and keep myself alive. So that way I hope I can find a ball reaction to be able to win. Because like at the Masters, I got ran over in match play. I mean, I bowled against Martin Larson the second round. After I lost to Greg Thompson the first round, I had a chance to win that round, and I didn't do it. And then I lost to Martin Larson. He bowled 740. I mean, his ball reaction was that good, and he bowled that good. I did not, and I got ran over, and that's how it happens. Just like EJ said on the show, he said, I mean, it's the easiest and hardest tournament to win because you get the right matchups and you can win. You get the wrong matchups and you can bowl 700 twice and lose both matches. So it's just one of those things. That's how it goes. But when you see conditions like this that Kegel puts out, you're going to see completely different players be successful. And then when you see stuff like, Scorpion, Chameleon, all those patterns that they're using right now out on tour, you're going to see other types of people be successful. And it's a lot of just your ball roll matching up. It's just if your ball roll matches up on that surface that day, in that center, on those conditions, you're going to do really well. And if you don't find a way to match your ball roll up to that, you're going to struggle quite a bit. So this is just my thoughts on this. I've had some people talking about how, they didn't understand why they saw new faces and why some of the old faces didn't bowl so well. Well, this is hopefully a little bit of an explanation as to why, just because the conditions are just a little bit different. And, it gave an opportunity for different styles to match up a little bit better. So hopefully this helps people to understand a little bit. If it does, if you've got comments on this, go ahead and leave them below. But make sure you subscribe to this page for the next couple of videos. Pretty soon I'm going to be doing some more Arsenal videos on Storm bowling balls, Radical bowling balls, Brunswick. I'm going to be putting it all together. Even though I'm on EBI staff, I already did the EBI one for you guys to take a look at. I'm still going to do some of the other ones too, just because that's what's good for the bowlers. They need to know all of the equipment. So until next time, guys, we will see you later. And make sure you head over to Turbo 2-in-1 Grips page and subscribe over there as well. So stay tuned, and we will see you guys later. Take care.